Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And late because this banner came out like almost 12 hours. Well, no, it's like 9 hours ago or something. The third anniversary, big time, prime time meta has begun. The Divine General meta with the new Raphael, Diablo, and Protector ELMESIA. It is live. It is here. And it is a very, very strong team with some, I would say, heavy caveats, unfortunately. Individually, the units are good. As a team, it does require a few things. But, this is a should you summon video. Is it worth it to summon? The answer is yes. This is the banner that I have been telling people to save for. Triple featured unit. All three units are good on their own. ELMESIA is a very strong protector. Raphael is a very good DPS with support capabilities, and Diablo is a really good support character. So pulling any one of these characters for your box in the future or for previous content is going to help you immensely, regardless of what content it is, especially ELMESIA. As a team, that's where the issues, I think, start to arise. So before we talk about that, yes, you should summon. Yes, if you want to reroll and you start a new account, you can get the 100 free tickets that you get from logging in. This stuff and do the summons on the Isis and Kyokyo banner. Do that and then dump all your crystals and try and get these three characters. Because this is an anniversary meta, we know that in the future we're going to get 2 more units that are on single featured unit banners in the next 2 weeks or so. So a week from today, and then 2 weeks from today, roughly, we should get the final 2 units, and that will be a full 5-unit team, like fully set up. That is everything you need. And sorry, I have the hiccups. I just finished eating. So we do have 2 more, but they're single banners. They're not nearly as valuable as a triple feature unit banner, especially with the new protector. But now, let's talk about what they do. And the first problem, as you can see, is this. This is the filter for Divine General. There are 6 characters on it. This is absolutely unacceptable for an anniversary team to have 6 total units right now. Like this is stupid. This is like the biggest head-scratching thing I've ever seen in my life. Visions of Coleus, to be fair, is not a big team, and it's not going to get any bigger. So I guess they're just kind of doing that where the anniversary team, because they're releasing a full 5 new units, 6 if you want to count this Millum, that you can just fill the team that way. But Gazel being free, Vengeance Yom being free and not able to get right now, and then Vengeance Veldora. Like, sure, fine, whatever. This is stupid. This is the biggest L of this entire day, is the lack of substitutable options on the Divine General team. But let's start with Diablo, in case you guys didn't watch the live stream, didn't watch the coverage video or anything. Very quickly go over. He is an AoE. He's a support unit, so he gives Divine Generals the extra 25% weakness strike when you ult with him. If it's an EX ult, it's 50%. This is the basic, I have nothing else in the ability release board. I don't have any extra dupes of him. He's not 120. So it would go up to 60% and then 120. If you totally maxed him out, but I don't think anyone is able to max an EX Unbound character right now. His first skill, guaranteed synergy and 100% synergy power for all allies with no restrictions, and it hits both the front and back line. So it doesn't matter where you are, you will get guaranteed synergy and 100% synergy power. So that is incredible viability right there. On stages that don't nerf synergy, this is doing work for you. And even stages that do nerf synergy, they generally only nerf it by 80%, so you're still going to benefit a little bit off of this. It's very expensive, but that expensive skill comes with unrestriction. No element restriction, no force restriction. Doesn't need to even be up front to get this buff. Makes it really good. His second skill is the Gimmick, which I think is another slight downfall to this team, is that if you don't have Diablo, this Divine General team does not run as well as you want it to. Because this skill is the unlimited skill use per turn thing, and you really need this because the team, as it's built for the whales, only has one orb changer, and that's Gazel, and he's a single orb changer. So, rough times for that. If you don't have this Diablo for this team and you have Raphael and ELMESIA, you need to get this Diablo. Just straight up, you do. He's necessary. But it's 0 points, and ELMESIA is going to reset it, so it should always be probably 0. And it gives you the unlimited use of skills any number of times, so you could use a bunch of the single orb changes of Gazelles, you can use the bunch of stacks from the new Raphael, and he gives green orbs the 50% all gauge increase, just like Isis does, the free-to-play one. It does not combine with the Isis buff, they'll just cancel each other out, because Isis lasts for 3 turns versus Diablo's 1. But Isis skill also costs 15 points versus 0, so probably not going to bring Isis on this team. True Attribute, this is a stacking team, so they get extra damage between turns 6, 7, 8. His trait, if you get it, is a 6 combo of greens, you get extra attack. This is not important. I don't think any of these characters, these new ones, need dupes at all. Like, they don't. Their traits are not good enough to warrant dupes. So, and, like, extra attack on a support character that's doing 150% ult damage, like, that's ridiculously stupid. He should have had protection gauge or something. But they didn't do it. Raphael is a solid character. I'd say he goes hand in hand with Diablo. So he is the single target ult, 530% right now. If you get extra dupes, it can get, and he finishes board, he goes up to 600. But no extra effect, it's just raw power. First skill, everybody gets a 120% space and dark attack buff, which only applies to space and dark allies. But again, just like Diablo, it hits the rear guard as well. So it doesn't matter where you use it, everyone's going to get it. But this is now element restricted to just space and just dark, which thankfully, if we look at the EX board, even before adding in the new Diablo and the new Raphael, space and dark have some of the most units to pull from out of any meta, only cut in half by light. So it's not like dark and space are hurting for units that can benefit off of this buff. Because you look at like Earth down all the way down here, fire and water are not super high right now. So this is a fairly good buff. It's going to buff a lot of the game. Second skill, stacking synergy power and stacking ult damage. And this is like the bread and butter of where a lot of your damage is coming from on this team, is using this 0 point skill a lot of times because you have Diablo to allow you to use skills multiple times a turn. So on like a pretty good run, you're going to have like an extra 150% synergy power and 150% ult damage on everybody, including the rear guard. This also hits the back line as well. And this will stack on top of the 100% synergy power that Diablo's giving. So it's actually 250% synergy power on a good run, or a halfway decent run. So yeah, this is a really good skill for this specific stacking team. You can put it on other teams that is dark and space focused and want synergy. Like, he'll be a good support for other teams when you can match everything up, while also being a really good single target DPS. Rimuru, Raphael's trait, is the skill points every 2 turns. Not really a big deal on this team. You're going to get a lot of skill points from Gazelle, so his trait also not necessary. Don't need dupes in Raphael. And then we move on to the Protector, ELMESIA, who is fantastic. So she's giving Divine General allies 100% extra damage to wind, 120 if she's maxed out, 25% stats to magic allies, raises your skill cap by 50. Her protection skill applies Emperor's Enamor, which gives you 25% extra ult at the end of every turn for 2 turns, and then seals the enemy's ability to buff themselves against crit, pierce, and synergy. So if you know what Vengeance Raphael does, where they seal enemies' ability to crit and synergy and pierce you, ELMESIA is now preventing the enemy from buffing themselves against this. So it means you can freely crit, pierce, and synergy anything in the game. So in stages that originally didn't want you to crit or pierce, you can now crit and pierce. In stages that didn't want you to synergy, you can synergy now. And it just eliminates that entire debuffing mechanic across the entire game, except in fights that debuff your own allies. So if you have a red debuff over you that is crit damage down, she's not going to save you from that. But she'll save you from a defensive buff on the other side of the field, again, for the enemies. She gives 15% attack for everybody, including the rear guard. So no matter where you are in this team, you're going to get buffs, which is great. It means there's less flipping in and out to get buffs and send away. A whole lot of mismatching and strategizing is eliminated because of these buffs and them hitting the back line. And 15% is 3% more than what the other stacking protectors do. Normally they do 12. So, okay, that's a small increase, but it hits the back line. Really important. And then she lowers your skill costs down to initial values. Not by 20, like Masayuki or Overlord Rimuru. She resets everything down to base level, because decrease skill cost by 20 for Vanguard allies cannot go below each skill's initial cost. This is different wording. If you use a skill that is 80 points, it is now 100 points. If you use Rimuru, it drops it back down to, well, that's not a good example. If you have a skill that costs 50 points, and you use it twice, every time you use it, it goes up by 20. So 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. It's a 90-point skill now. If you use Rimuru, it drops back down to 70. If you use ELMESIA, it drops all the way back down to 50, and you start over again, which is really important for Raphael, who's got that zero-cost skill to stack a literal shit ton of buffs. And so if you use a skill 5 or 6 times in a turn, it's going to cost like 80 points or something. But then the next turn, ELMESIA resets it back down to 0. And you can use it another 5 or 6 times, which is why you're going to get so much power out of this Raphael. So that's really, really important. The team runs fairly well, but again, in order to use a bunch of stacks of Raphael, you need to have Diablo with his gimmick. In order to use them efficiently, you need to have ELMESIA to be able to reset everything. So they are highly dependent on each other, but I heavily suggest that everyone summon on this banner. Now, another unfortunate aspect is that this banner's featured character list, apart from the new characters, is awful. Is legitimately awful, because it's only Diablo, Raphael, ELMESIA, and Vengeance Goddamn Veldora. Those are the only EX characters on this banner. Everything else is old 5 stars. You look at it right here. Rimuru, Diablo, and then Veldora, they're EX. These are EX Unbounds, and literally nobody else. So they've done really good with these characters, but they've locked them to the team, and they've turned their banner into shit, unfortunately. And the team is not that great. They want you to summon for everything, and that's the point. And while I still, yes, people should still summon on these characters and get Rimuru, Raphael, Diablo, and ELMESIA. You should get all 3 of them. The banner itself is not the most valuable thing in the world. So if you can get Raphael, Veldora, Raphael, Diablo, and ELMESIA, and you get them like once, stop summoning. You don't need dupes in them. Don't worry about it. They're gonna be fine. You're gonna do a fuck ton of damage. You're gonna be okay. You do not need dupes. And at that point, I don't have it because I already did it, but you could either wait for the banners that are coming in the next couple weeks, like these 2 banners right here, that will get announced later on, or I could actually see value now in doing like the guaranteed EX multis, the 10 multis that you can do, that I already did, so I can't show this banner. It's in the news, though. I guess I can go there. Like, I could see people being like, okay, now it's maybe a good time to do this, because a lot of EX characters is a lot more value than what you're getting on this current brand new banner, apart from the brand new characters. So this could be a good option for you. There are a lot of good units in here. There's a lot of not so good units in here, but they're all EX units, and that could really pad your box out. So yes, you should summon for this new banner. You should get Raphael, ELMESIA, Diablo. If you're re-rolling, you should do your 100 free tickets for the Isis and Kyokyo banner, and then you should come back and do your summons and pull these 3. And then if you still have crystals left over, you can then make the decision to wait and see what the next 2 banners are going to be, or do some summons on the guaranteed EX banner and test your luck there. Okay, so we've discussed the banner's awful, the team does not have a lot of options, but if you pull these 3, they will carry you through pretty much anything at this point. They're very, very strong. They do have caveats. We've talked about their skills. The last thing I want to mention before we go, and this is a spoiler warning for anyone who does not want to know what is coming next. We do have a slight teaser in the data mine that could give away what one of the next incoming units is. So if you do not want to know, if you do not want to be spoiled, you want to be surprised when they do come out, please click off the video now. I'm not going to say anything else about the banner. You should summon yes. But, spoiler warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so in the data mine, it was found that we have a new model for the masked hero. This is not a thing that is currently in the game, because if we look at her other units, we go to Heart of a Hero, I think. Heart of a Hero. Yeah, so we have this masked hero, and we look at her 3D model. That is not the same. If we look at the light masked hero, where is she? That is not the same model. So one of the two new characters is probably going to be a masked hero, which breaks from tradition, because normally she only comes out for half anniversaries. We've had 3 masked heroes, we've had 3 half anniversaries, she's only ever come out during those. So it'd be kind of surprising, but you know what, oh well, whatever, they can do what they want. So if you really like the masked hero, and you like her lore, and you like her backstory and everything, blah blah blah, from light novels and manga, she is probably coming as a new summonable character as part of the Divine General meta. So if you are done summoning for the current banners and you're like, man, what do I summon on next? Do I hold? If you like the masked hero, maybe it's better off to hold and see what she does and see what the other unit does as well. But that's in the future. That's at least 1 week from now. Like, a new unit shouldn't come out until probably the 4th or 5th. And then the 11th or 12th, or somewhere in that kind of 1 to 2 day date range. But if you did, well, how did your summons go on the new banner? Did you get lucky? Did you get shafted? If you did, I'm sorry. I know you've been waiting for months for this. It feels really bad to get shafted. I understand. But you know, let me know how it went. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I will see you all later.